Hello everyone and welcome back to E2E. Today we will be continuing off working on Draconic Evolution, the quest tree. The goal of this episode is to get a Chaos Shard, which then we can upgrade the Draconic Crafting Injector to the Chaotic version, which we will also need to be getting Chaotic Cores. So basically, the goal for this episode is to get these three things done here. Now there is a problem with this. The Chaos Shard is locked behind the Draconic Helmet, which is locked behind the Wyvern Helmet, which you need to get all of the armor to get this quest, which then unlocks this, which then unlocks this. The issue with the, Draconic armor set here, if we just go ahead and take a look at one of these, it takes ultimate ingots, which means we need to grab the ultimate crafting table, which is like the beginning of the endgame quest tree, I believe. If we go take a look here at the gates. Yeah, you actually have to make this to get to the bragging rights quest. So we're just not going to do the quests for them. We're just going to do the stuff without getting the quests unlocked.
I doubt it.
But before we go through the hassle of preparing to fight a Chaos Guardian, we need to actually build a building for Draconic Evolution. Now, the reason we're going to do that is because this is like the last thing that we're going to need to do for Draconic Evolution. This is all just crafting, and it involves endgame stuff. This is like the last actual Draconic Evolution exclusive thing that we need to do. So if there would be a time to build a building, it would be now. So I've got a couple ideas for what we can do for a building, so let's go ahead and hop over into the creative world and get something built. Alrighty, here we are over in the creative testing world. As you can see, I am a little bit far away from everything. That's because I wanted to test a few things to maybe get an idea of what kind of a building I want to build. And I think we should build something like this. This is a actual running draconic reactor, and I think we are going to model the building off of something like this. I'm thinking we're going to have like maybe some archways that kind of like loop up like this, and then we can put like some fake stabilizers on each four sides. Maybe we can even put some in the center there, so we can have 8 kind of like arches, and then we can build a draconic reactor core thing. I don't know, I think we can make it look pretty cool with some of the empowered blocks like diamantine, amaratic crystal, and stuff like that, so we can make it glow like this. I think that'd be a pretty cool way to go about doing this. We can also use some like Bifrost glass for, stuff like this. If we go ahead and grab some of that. As you can see, it is very rainbowy, and I think that would fit this kind of theme pretty well. So we may use that, we may not. We're going to have to do some designing, obviously. So this is what it's going to be generally based off of, but of course we're going to make it look like a draconic building. And we are going to be putting the fusion crafting setup probably on the ground, or maybe even inside of the actual fusion sun solar ball thingy. I don't know, we'll get there when we get there, but I'm thinking we're probably just going to put it on the ground. Okay, now, one thing to mention, I am not going to be building a draconic reactor on the server. There's a very specific reason for that, and we'll get to that after I build the building. So why don't we just go ahead and start the time lapse for the building, and then we can see why I'm not going to build this. And there we go, building is done. Now you can obviously see there's marker blocks in place. I have went ahead and got that copied over. It somehow manages to fit on a single template, which is very strange because I had to split that like skyscraper into 3 different ones, and this huge one just so happens to fit onto one. I really don't understand how that like adds up, but here we are. I'd say this is a pretty cool building. It did take a very long time to build, especially those and those, because I'm not good at organic structures, and this is kind of organic, but I mean, at the end of the day, this building looks very cool, and I'm very happy with it. Unfortunately, I did not really leave space anywhere to put the crafting station for Draconic Evolution, so I'm either going to run a power cable up through the bottom here and put it inside of the actual reactor, or I'm just going to put it on the floor somewhere. Honestly, I think I'll just decide that when we get on the server. Oh, and another thing I should mention, this kind of broken area down here, this will be filled in with lava eventually, but obviously you can't like copy liquids, so we'll do that when we're on the server. I would say let's go gather the materials and get building, but I think it's time to do a little demonstration as to why I'm not going to build an actual Draconic reactor on the server. So here we have a Draconic reactor all the way over in the middle of nowhere. Now there's a reason I'm in the middle of nowhere, is because it's going to be very violent when it blows up. Yep, that's right, we are going to blow one of these up. I just need to let this one charge up, and then I'm just going to overflow it with power, and then it's just going to grow extremely large, and then probably like decimate the entire area. So we may want to back away, although I think we're going to sit right next to it when it happens, because that is going to be very funny. All right, let's get this charged up and blow it up. Well, we have the reactor charged up, and we are now going to... Oh, wait, why is it not blue? Isn't it supposed to be blue? Okay, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, okay. I was getting a little worried there. Oop! I didn't mean to do that, but I guess that is going to actually work, so let's just change the insert rate to all of it. I would assume that that's gonna go wrong. Explosion imminent. Oh, yeah, okay, that's gonna go wrong. Oh no. Oh no. Uh-oh. Oh! We're fine. Estimated time until detonation. Calculating. You know, I thought this would be more, like, dramatic, but it's definitely getting bigger. You know what, let's just bring this to the integer limit. No, we're not waiting around any longer. Come on. It's getting white. Oh my god. How long do we have? 27 seconds. Come on, man. All right, here we go. It's about to blow up. This is why you do not build these on servers, because someone could just do this. Oh my god. Oh my god! Ooh! Bro! I can't move. Oh my... Dude! Is it? It's out of render distance, I bet. That's how big this is. Oh my god. Is it over? Can my game stop freezing every 7 seconds, please? Look at all the animals floating. I may just want to relog real quick. Well, after a quick world reload, yeah, the reactor has not blown up, and it crashed the game so hard that it managed to save like 10 chunks, but the rest are just untouched and the reactor came back. So I'm either going to have to sit here for like an hour and wait for the game to process this, or I just give up and save and quit before this goes off, and then, you know, not have to, you know, deal with that. Okay, I may or may not have let it just sit here for a little bit and let the reactor blow up a second time. My single player world is still currently extremely cooked. I ran some TPS commands. We're getting a solid 11.3 ticks per second. Normally it's supposed to be 20, so yeah, that's pretty bad. And also, I cannot render any new chunks because it just won't, because it's so overloaded right now trying to calculate what just happened. I can place blocks though, and break them, so that's good. But yeah, I can't really do anything else, and I bet if I tried to save and quit, it also wouldn't work. So this is the damage that it does. We have a very large crater, and I think it also just decides to chuck out blobs of explosions, because if we fly over to this area, which, by the way, can't render any further than this, there's just a blob of death right there, blob of death right there, there's one right there, one right there, there's one in the water, there's some in the desert, which we're going to go fly over to. Yeah, this is, it's pretty bad. So this is why we do not build draconic reactors on servers, because if something goes wrong, you know, one of your friends decides to be funny and put the integer limit as the insert limit, or you built it on a chunk border and it's not getting cooled properly, or whatever. Something like this could happen, and probably break the server for about 7 hours. So that's why we're not going to be building one. Anyways, here we are in the desert. I don't know if it's the pyrotheum that did this, but it looks like it has turned the sand into glass, which is kind of crazy. So, yeah, we are definitely not building a draconic reactor on the server because that would be bad. Okay, let's go ahead and gather up the materials and actually build the building now. Alrighty, here we are back on the server. I got it copied over. Thankfully, I took the copy of the thing before we blew the reactor up because I am not sure I can even log into that world anymore. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at this. The hardest part out of this is probably just going to be gathering all of the materials. It's not too bad of stuff in itself. It's just a decent amount of stained glasses. We're going to need some obsidian, a bunch of nether bricks. The most annoying part out of this is going to be the 376 empowered void crystal blocks and 367 empowered Restonia crystal blocks. That is going to take forever. Draconium infused obsidian is literally obsidian, blaze powder, and a draconium dust, so that's fine. Got some more glass. Black quartz is no problem at all. 4 awakened draconium blocks. By now, we should have enough draconium essence to actually make that. And 700 ash blocks, which we can just go fly to Mercury or something and just mine the ground. Let's go ahead and get all that gathered, and then we can place that down. Alrighty, materials have been gathered, and the area has been dug out, and Potato Master is currently just standing in the center of it, so we are just going to build it right on top of him. Now, this thing is quite large. Originally, I wanted to put it like here, but obviously it's not going to fit. So we're going to have to put it back here, and then maybe we can like have a road going over to here so we can actually access this. I think that's a pretty good idea. All right, well, let's go ahead and get this built. I would like to swap off of it real quick. Let's just do one quick check, just make sure we have everything. That we do. We do not need these. These are markers. So let's go ahead and build this. Let me make sure that I'm going to swap off to an empty hand, and here we go. Boom! Draconic Evolution building has been created. Perfect. Now, I think what I'm going to do to power the actual fusion injector, whatever that thing's called, I'm just going to combine the power output of these two solar panels and then run a cable under the ground, and then we can put the thing maybe like right here. That seems like a pretty good place to put it. Right in the middle of everything works for me. All right, let's go ahead and do that. I'll also build a road, and then we should be able to, get started on the next thing, which is preparing to fight the Chaos Guardians. Alrighty, there we go. We have built another road that leads right over there, and it kind of does just stop at a little sidewalk area because that is going to be the end of that road. Alrighty, there we go. Couple things I need to do. I do actually need to move this over. I just thought I probably am going to need a battery for these two because that takes a lot of power sometimes. We take a look at the chaotic core. We need 800 MRF, which is a lot. So we're going to need to put a battery down. That does make sense. So I'll go ahead and do that. And then we can get that moved over. And also I need to throw in the lava down here because it's currently just cobblestone and it looks really ugly. I'll go ahead and do those two things in between clips here. But the reason I started up now is because we are going to start preparing for the Chaos Guardian fight. There are 3 things that I need to do to get prepared so that I don't die. I'm going to rank these in terms of most important to least important. Most important thing is to get some enchantments for this armor because this armor is actually enchantable. Now the enchantments that I'm going to be getting is mending, obviously, so we can repair this with experience, and last stand. Last stand basically prevents you from dying. If you take a fatal amount of damage, it will use experience instead of health. So if we get last stand 2 on all 4 pieces of our armor, then we will use our experience bar instead of getting beat to death by this thing, which is probably going to be extremely useful and almost necessary. Second most important thing we're going to do is build a nanobot beacon from environmental tech. And since we have awakened draconium, we can build a tier 6. Now these basically allow you to create beacons that give you effects wherever you are if they're chunk loaded. So we're going to put this at spawn so we can have this. And there are certain modifiers like regeneration. So we are going to max this thing out with regeneration modifier so we will be hopefully unkillable. Third thing on the list, we are going to increase our hearts. Now, as you can see, we have a lot of health. I don't remember how much it is, but I think it's around 200 or so. I could get Potato Master to take a look real quick. Actually, why don't I just go do that? Potato Master, how much health do I have? Can you take a look?
206.88.
Thank you. 206.88 hearts right now. So that means those light blue hearts down there are 6 and the cyan-ish are the 200. We're going to increase that, and the only way that I know to increase this now, since we do have the Odin Ring and we have all of the Astral Sorcery perks spec'd into health, we need to eat a bunch of different foods. So if we just search up food in JAI, as you can see, there's a lot of foods in here that say not eaten yet. So the more you eat, I think it's Spice of Life is the mod that does this, the more health you get. So I'm just gonna make a lot of these. I don't know how many I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to start making them until I get really, really sick of making food types because it's just going to be micro crafting after micro crafting after micro crafting. Oh my god, it's going to be so annoying. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and just make as many of these as I can, and then we'll do a huge I'm really hungry, let's eat like 30,000 chests of food montage, and then hopefully we will have like 300, 400 health. And last but not least, we are going to make a new weapon to take this out. You know, this thing has a lot of health, at least I think, so we're probably going to need a ranged weapon that can actually damage it pretty well, and that is going to be the draconic bow. We do have access to the bow of the wyvern. That is just some infused obsidian. We have made so much of that in that building over there. Wyvern energy core, wyvern core, draconium blocks, and a supremium bow, which is just supremium. We can make supremium no problem, so we'll just go ahead and craft that up. And then for the draconic bow, all we need is a awakened core, energy core, and some draconium, and that will make the draconic bow. Now, of course, there are upgrades for this. There is arrow damage, draw speed, arrow speed, and charge capacity, and we will be making all of these. Now, the thing about these is there's different tiers depending on what fusion crafting level you have. Since we have draconic, we'll be going with this, so we're going to need to get a bunch more awakened cores, and then we can upgrade the bow with everything that it needs. Another thing to mention before I just go start gathering all this food, which by the way, I am going to be completely cutting out because there is no way you guys want to sit there and watch me craft foods for 10 minutes. Instead, we'll just montage eating it. I have been crafting draconic cores and wyvern cores in the background because we're going to need an absurd amount of these for the end game, and honestly, it takes so long to craft these. I made around 1,500 draconic cores, and I have to make them in batches of 500 or else my crafting CPUs can't handle it. But let's just take a look at what this actually needs for materials. 1,000 diamonds, 1,000 lapis, 750 ender pearls, 10,000 draconium, 56 congealed slime blocks, 1,000 lead sheet metal, 43,000 draconium essence, which by the way, we are almost out of now, so that's not good. 4,000 crystal binder, which will take 2,000 calcium sulfate each, plus a whole bunch of rhodokersite, which I did have to go set up a different way to get rhodokersite because the atomic deconstructor was going so slow that it was despawning all of the rubies on the ground. So instead I just put a rock crusher over there with granite, and we're all good there. But yeah, I've just been crafting those. Good thing I have been too, because we're going to be needing a lot of wyvern cores to get awakened cores, because the crafting recipe requires 4 each, which is ridiculous. Okay, well, anyways, I'm going to go gather up all of the food, all of the other materials that we need, and then we will cut back when we are ready to start preparing. I think this food crafting is going to be the most boring thing I will ever do, but we're doing it anyway.
3 hours later.
Alrighty, after, I kid you not, 3 hours of crafting, buying, and bone mealing, I have managed to gather 5 diamond chests full of different foods that we haven't eaten yet. Yeah, that's a lot of food. I probably should mention, if we go into the actual JI page, it is this entire page, plus all the way down to, I think, around here-ish. I did not want to go all the way down because I think 5 chests is going to be more than enough. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if it isn't, I guess we'll just go back and make the rest. But also, I got really tired of making foods because, man, it seriously took 3 hours. It was incredibly boring. But we have all these foods now, so I think let's just eat them. We're going to eat all of them. I think I'm going to go ahead and grab my sacrificial dagger from my blood magic area. Oh, and if you didn't notice, I made a dislocator because the ender book just kind of stopped working. So, yeah, this is much better. It's a lot faster, and it uses ender pearls as fuel instead of experience, so I don't have to sit on my pylon every once in a while. And I just put ender pearls in here. It is very convenient. So let's go ahead. I think it's down here. Oh, it's literally in my inventory because I already grabbed it. Okay, yep, there it is right there. Sacrificial dagger. Okay, so the basic gist of how this is going to work is I'm going to eat some food, stab myself until I am damaged, and then regenerate all that health and get the saturation food down, and then eat the rest. I have a feeling this is going to take like an hour, so here we go, food time. Ah, we are finally done. Oh my god, you have no idea how long that took. Actually, let me check. An hour and 15 minutes. It took me an hour and 15 minutes to eat all that. Oh my god. But anyways, as you can see from the chat, we got to 26 hearts. Now, I don't know exactly how much that is actually going to end up being because the Odin Ring and the Astral Sorcery Tech Tree, they all add hearts like multiplicatively, so I'm not sure when this one starts. If this is the base, then we're going to go up by a lot. If it's like the second, we're not going to go up by much, and if it's the last one, we're not going to go up at all, other than 26, but I guess we can go find out. So instead of eating the entire pizza restaurant's worth of pizza, let's just go up to a regen beacon here real quick, and then we can see how much health we actually have. And you will notice I stabbed myself with this sacrificial dagger all the way down to red, so we can see exactly how much health I have. So a full row of hearts is 20 health, so let's go ahead and count all this. That's 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180, 200, 220, 240, 260, 280, 300, 320, 331, I think. So, yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. Now, I did notice that I ate like maybe 10 or 11 pieces of food before we got another bonus. So let's just go ahead and make a couple more things real quick just so we can get the last bonus that we're going to get. And then I'd say that's pretty good for hearts because, let's be real, 330 health. That's a lot, and I think we're going to be fine. Oh yeah, another thing I want to check, the nutrition. Still somehow 99% on all of them, which is rather surprising, but I guess that does make sense. I did eat a lot of various things. Anyways, we can go into here and we can just look, and yeah, they are all eaten added hearts. Wow, okay. Yep, let's just go find a bunch of things that are easy to make, and then let's just make these until we can't anymore. Monster fried dumplings? Sure. How about a Chico roll? And there we go, that was it. Okay, now that looked to be like I got 2.5 hearts for each one. Yep, that does actually add up. That means we are at a pretty decent amount of health. Okay, I am never doing that again. That took literally forever. At least that is done, and I don't have to think about it anymore. Let's put all my, stuff back in my inventory here, and let's continue on with doing the other things that we need to do. Mainly, building the regen beacon and crafting the draconic bow. So let's do the nanobot beacon first. So let's see. I think you take a ferro beacon, a diode, and some mica, lodestone, and a rhodium. I said lodestone, I think. Oh, dear. Okay, well, you know what I meant. All right, well, here is the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. The tier 5 actually takes 2 blocks of crystaltine, which that is rather expensive. Luckily for me, we have the pattern, so I don't need to worry about that too much. There's our tier 5. And tier 6 takes neutronium blocks. Oh, that is minorly inconvenient because we do not have that. Unfortunately, the neutronium block and the aethium tiles look very similar, especially with the small UI that I have. I think a tier 5 nanobot beacon is perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and grab the digital guide here. Let's see. We need to go to personal nanobot beacons. Each effect you add to the beacon will increase its energy cost. Yep. Must be chunk loaded if you want the effects to go wherever you go. Yep, that's fine. Power can go in anywhere, and I would assume the strength of each increases with the more you have. We will be finding that out, though. So let's see. 84 structure panels, 20 modifiers, and 108 tier 5 structure frames. That's not too bad. Okay, now the regen modifiers, they aren't too expensive. You just need a bunch of null modifiers, some mica, palladium, lonzolite, and 4 golden apples each. So we're going to need 80 golden apples, which is quite a bit. And there we have it. 108 structure frame, tier 5s, and let's go ahead and build this thing. The problem we're going to run into is how much power is this going to take and how are we going to get power over there? That is going to be an issue, and I have a feeling I may have to build a solar panel over at spawn or chunk load one of my chunks in this area, which I would rather not chunk load it because chunk loading is not good for server performance, and the server is well, let's just say it's been kind of dying ever since I did the advanced rocketry stuff. So yeah, let's try not to chunk load anything else. So let's just go ahead and put it right here. The spawn chunks, I believe, are starting right there. So we can go ahead and put it somewhere over here. Go ahead and hold right click with the good old assembler, and it should start building it. And it looks like it is a... Looks like it's similar to the digital miners in shape. Although it is kind of weird where they're putting all these modifiers. Like, what is going on here? That is a interesting shape, and honestly, looks pretty cool. Okay, it is kind of floating, but that's fine. Whatever. So let's see. This thing needs 164 RF per tick, so that sounds to me like a tier 4 solar panel, maybe even a tier 3. but if we are going to be placing this, it needs a battery. So I'll just go ahead and get a battery and a solar panel built up. We can go ahead and place that probably right over there and then hook this up, and then we will have a regen beacon. Now I'm hoping this gives me regen 20 because there are 20 regen modifiers, but I guess we will find out. Alrighty, materials have been gathered. I also went ahead and made up a small little induction cell. I'm just going to kind of plop it down right over here. Try to make it rather small because we're not going to need a huge one. There's no point wasting all the lithium on that, you know? Right there. There we go. Nice induction cell. That should have 204 GRF. That's pretty good. And there we go. That is directly inputting straight into there. Now, that is making 1 MRF. This takes 164 KRF. So that should be perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and run the cables over to here, and then we can see exactly how much this actually regenerates me. So let me go ahead and damage myself with the sacrificial dagger here. It is kind of crazy that the colors loop back around to orange. That's how much health I have. All right, back down to red health. Let's go ahead and plug this thing in. Boom, plugged in. And it has given me regeneration quite a bit. Okay, it's not as fast as the Astral Sorcery one, but it is pretty fast. So I'll take that, all things considered. Regen beacon is now in, and that is 2 of the 4 things that we needed to do. Well, make it 5. There's actually 5 things. One of which is to upgrade this armor with enchantments. I don't know if I said that one in the original list of things. I did go ahead and grab some enchanted books in the meantime while I was prepping all that food. We are going with Protection 4, Unbreaking 3, Mending, Soulbound. I'm not sure if that Soulbound is actually going to work because it says most gravestone mods are stupid and prevent this from working. We will see if that works if we ever end up dying, but hopefully the last enchantment here, Last Stand, will prevent that from happening. If you take lethal damage with Last Stand, it'll take experience instead of your life. So let's go ahead and put this on all of the armor here. Hopefully it isn't too expensive, although I feel like it will be. 22, that's actually not too bad. And we can, in fact, put all 5 enchantments on this. Looks like so. And there we have it. That is a full set of enchanted armor. Now that should prevent us from dying, hopefully. I have no idea how strong these Chaos Guardians are. I saw a comment in an early episode that said this won't hold up, but I don't believe you, and we're going to go for it anyway. Anyways, there's one thing left that we need to now do, and that is to make a draconic bow. The draconic bow here is crafted in a fusion crafting. We need an awakened core, draconic energy core, and some awakened draconium, plus the bow of the wyvern. I don't think we have any more awakened cores. We don't, so I think we're going to go ahead and make some of those right now. I have been crafting the other cores in the background, like wyvern cores and draconic cores. Let's just go ahead and batch up another 20 of these. Speaking of these, by the way, there is a better way to make alloys that I just like completely forgot about. Let's just go ahead and head over to Woodstock Space because he's the one who showed me how to do this. Yeah, there's a thing called an alloy tank, which you literally just put fluid tanks next to it. Yeah, that was really stupid on my part. I could have just set this up instead of a big Tinker's thing. I'll swap it out if I need to, but I think we're just going to keep my janky setup until I need to make more of those. Let's go ahead and make an awakened core here. We need 4 wyvern cores, some awakened draconium, and another star. We've done this before. Another thing that I forgot to do is symbolically complete this building by adding a waypoint, so let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Perfect. And here we have our awakened core. We already had some energy cores, so now all we need is 2 more pieces of awakened draconium, and we should be able to make the actual draconic bow once we have the bow of the wyvern. Now to actually get the bow of the wyvern, we're going to need some draconic infused obsidian, so we should just be able to make that. We're going to need 2 draconium blocks, wyvern energy core. I believe we can just craft one of those up real quick. We do have a pattern for it. And last but not least, we need a supremium bow, which means we need to grab a supremium tool core and some ingots and mystical string. The mystical string is easy. Let's just make 3 of that, or more, because I accidentally misclicked. Supremium ingots we have a pattern for. Let's just make 10. We're going to be needing more anyways. And I did also go ahead and make a pattern for the supremium tool and armor cores, because you do need all of the previous tiers. So I just went ahead and made a pattern up for all of those. And apparently we are missing wither skeleton skulls, because I think you need those for the tier 5. So let's go over to our industrial craft building here, and let's duplicate some. We're also up to 189 mil buckets of UU matter, which is pretty good. And there we can make our tool core, and then we can make our supremium bow. Perfect. Let's go ahead and upgrade that to a bow of the wyvern, and then go ahead and upgrade this. Oh, that was a advancement. Let's go ahead and slap that in the middle there, and then put in all of the components. Boom, 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 and boom. And there we go. Now hopefully that doesn't like eat the entire battery worth of power, because actually no, I think this one's pretty cheap, so there's nothing to worry about here. And there we have it, a draconic bow. Nice. Okay, and those were 2 new quests, which is always good. Apparently I missed a piece of road here. Anyways, now this bow will not do right now because it does not do a whole lot of damage. We need to go ahead and get some upgrades. So let's go ahead and take a look at the recipes for those. First one being the arrow damage. Now we do want to be using the draconic recipe for this, so we need to actually build the upgrade itself. That's a pretty cheap recipe, and then we need to grab the draconic recipe. So we need 2 blocks of emeralds, another awakened core, some wyvern cores, and some nether stars. Luckily for me, that upgrade recipe is the exact same for all 4 of the upgrades, so let's just go ahead and make the draw speed upgrade as well. That's pretty cheap. We can make the arrow speed upgrade. That is also not too bad. And then finally the RF capacity upgrade, which we're going to need another wyvern core. So let's go ahead and autocraft one of those. We are also going to need to gather now 4 more of these awakened cores. So I'm just going to go gather everything, craft those up, and then we can actually start making this. I am going to go ahead and set up a tiny little automation thing here. We can take an output from the side of this, and I believe that will actually work. So let's go ahead and start this and see what happens. If this does work, that's going to be great, because then we can add a redstone clock onto this, which will then automatically start it, and then if it automatically exports, we can just set this up to batch craft certain things, which would be very convenient. And there we go, there is our 4 awakened cores. Now, as you can see, I did go ahead and put a redstone clock, and we have an item output here, so this thing is fully automatic, minus the item input. That I'm going to have to do manually, just because that is kind of how this all works out. So let's go ahead, put all these into their separate stacks. Then we can put in an upgrade, and it should just automatically start because of the redstone clock. Once we put in our bow. Previous level must be applied first. I figured that would be the case, but that's a bit unfortunate. So we're going to have to do this, and then we're going to have to do that, and then we're going to have to do this. Okay, you know what? That sounds like a lot of boring work, so I'm just going to go ahead and do all that, and then we'll cut back when my bow's upgraded. And there we have it, the draconic upgraded draconic bow on all of the upgrades. And it also turns out you do not need more than one of these upgrades, because they do not get consumed in the recipe. So I just have 3 of them now. Anyways, this thing has a charge capacity of 256 MRF, which is a lot, by the way. So I'm going to have to go put this in one of my induction batteries and just kind of see what's up. 819 GRF, that should be pretty good. Now, that should fill up rather quickly. And there we go. Draconic bow acquired. Now, it does look like you need arrows, and I'm not sure if you can enchant this or not, but I think I have an infinity book somewhere. I don't know where it would be if I did have it, but I swear I had one. Well, I guess I don't have that, so I probably will go ahead and make some enchantments for the bow. Looks like you can put power on it, punch, flame, infinity. We're definitely doing that. Although I could make tipped arrows, maybe. I don't know if the better arrows are better. Let me just grab some normal arrows, and we'll see what happens. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. Look at that. Okay, and it does look like it takes... That looks like power. It's not durability, so that's pretty good. Man, those arrows look lethal, dude. Let's just go take a look at that. Oh my god. Okay, well, hopefully this thing will do a beefy amount of damage. It looks like it says it only does 4, but I have a feeling that's just not true. But I don't know. Anyways, I'll go ahead and grab some bows, enchant those up, get some power, infinity, punch maybe on this thing. And then I think we're actually ready to fight, right? Alrighty, fellas. It is time. There's a couple things we need to do in preparation for this. The first one is get some enchantments on the draconic bow. I have power 5, unbreaking 3, soulbound, infinity, and multi-shot. I don't know if all these are going to be able to fit on here, so we're going to go with power 5 first, and then infinity, and then we're going to put soulbound on this. You can't put soulbound on that. That is unfortunate. Unbreaking doesn't go on that either, and multi-shot doesn't either. Interesting. So it looks like we can only put power and infinity on this. Power 5 and infinity is a pretty good amount. Now, another thing that I should probably note, there's different presets for the bow. We hit the / key. There's profiles. The first one is just arrows. It's just normal. It takes, what is that, 20,000 RF per shot, which is not bad. I made a second profile, though. It's called damage. This shoots arrow of draconic fire. It takes 8 million RF per shot, but it shoots those, and they do a lot of damage, presumably. I don't know how much, but supposedly a lot. But I feel like we're not going to be able to do that because these Chaos Guardians probably going to have way more health than that. So I made a third preset with the arrow of draconic fire off, but it has maximum arrow damage and velocity. It only costs 247,000 RF per shot, which is not bad. So I think that's the one we're going to be sticking with. And you can also go ahead and hit C to open up the menu, and you can check everything in here. There is magnification. I don't know if we're going to need it. Honestly, I think we're just going to kind of spam click. Now, we do have auto fire turned on for both of the configs that I'm going to be using. I'm probably just going to stick with the third config that I made. This is pretty good. Okay, let's see. Bow is charged. Armor is charged. We've got soulbound on this. The bow does not have soulbound, unfortunately, because we can't put it on there. Oh, right. Another thing that I need to do, I need to soulbind all my tools. Apparently, you can just put nether stars in here to make soulbound tools, and you don't actually need a modifier for it, which I did not know until now. So let's just go ahead and put that on all of our tools. There we go. So now we will keep our tools on death, and let's put all of our stuff into a chest just in case we end up losing it, specifically the time in the bottle, the dislocators, and my dank null. So I don't think we're going to need to take anything else. I'm going to keep my baubles with me because I need to fly, obviously. So if we die, we die. So hopefully we don't. I also gathered 400 levels, as you can see down there. Hopefully we won't need more than that. Now, if I do start taking serious damage and my levels start going down, I am just going to kind of warp away with my Osco glass tools just to, you know, save face. I think that's kind of cheating, but at the end of the day, we do need to beat this boss. So I think now it's time to go find it. I think it's about 10,000 blocks away. So let's just kind of start flying. It's probably going to be a while. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. Alrighty, so here we are at 10,000. Now, I believe it is actually at multiples of 10,000. So I think if we head to 10,000, we should be able to find one. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and set a waypoint right here to minus 10k in the end. And we are going to save that. And we are also going to put a warp point on my shovel, which is soulbound to me. So just in case we do end up dying, I can warp back to this spot and we can go back and fight this thing. I have a feeling if we just fly this way towards 0, we should actually find the arena for this thing. I really hope all this preparation I've done is actually enough. I guess we're about to find out, though. Okay, yep, this looks to be something. Here we go. We got a bunch of random islands here. But yeah, this is definitely it. Okay, here's the Chaos Guardian. I don't know anything about this fight other than it's hard. So let's just go over here and see what happens. We probably need to shoot at those. What is that? Oh, that did a lot of damage. Oh my god. Okay. Whoa. Bro, what is happening to me? Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, well, that's a thing. We lost 60 levels already. Cool. Let's try not to do that. I don't know what's hitting me, but it's something. Right, what is actually happening here? Why am I taking so much damage? Blocked by the crystal? What does that mean, dude? Oh my god, this boss fight's insane. Well, let's just destroy all these crystals. Okay. Okay, dude. Okay, dude. Oh my god. I don't think we're gonna be able to do this today. Ooh! Ooh! Oh my, did you see how close that was, dude?
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
26 levels. 26 levels. Bro, okay. Yep. Okay, well, there's a couple things to note. First one being, we're definitely not going to be able to do this episode. I think we're going to actually need to craft the draconic armor. Yeah, okay. Good to know. Second thing of note, that did a stupid amount of damage, by the way. Like, It took me from 300 to 0 in one hit. What on earth? I literally would have got one shot if it wasn't for the last stand. That is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, well, huh. That's interesting. That was kind of the entire goal of the episode, and that's obviously not going to happen. And instead of working towards the draconic helmet, which requires the wyvern helmet, which requires all of this stuff, which we need to go do Twilight Forest stuff, and then even to make the draconic armor, we're going to need to end up making ultimate ingots, which requires the ultimate crafting table, which requires all of this stuff. I think that is going to be it for this episode. I think next time we are going to begin work on going towards getting that draconic armor, because obviously we are not able to do this right now. I think next episode our main goal is going to be just knocking out all the rest of the quests that we have, which does include the gate for bragging rights, which would make the ultimate crafting table. So I think we're going to just run through the list of these. We have most of these completed. We're going to have to run through extra utilities. This isn't actually too bad. The hardest part is probably going to be the rainbow generator, because I think you need to make every single one of these. That's not too bad. Actually, additions, we just got to craft things. Industrial foregoing, same thing. Our F tools, exactly the same, just gotta craft a whole bunch of these things. Probably not even gonna end up using most of these, but at least we'll have the quest tree completed. Environmental tech we can't complete because of the tier 6 solar array, but we can get the accuracy modifier. And then draconic evolution, we might just want to go through all these tools depending on how hard they are to actually make. Nope, it doesn't look to be too bad, so we'll just go ahead and knock out all of those tools as well. Depending on time after that, we'll probably go after the armor. Maybe, I really don't know. Honestly, let's just see what happens next episode. That's going to be it for today. You can look forward to getting basically every single quest completed in the next episode. Goodbye.